everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I am Patience. In today's video, we are talking credit score and how, as a young person, if you don't have a credit score, how to start building your credit score. Now, if you haven't already, do watch my video, Are Credit Cards Evil?, which will really give you a good foundation as to the use of credit cards and aspects that we're not going to cover in today's video because I feel like they were well covered in that video. I'm going to go over this because I think that you have to have the fundamental decision as to whether you want a credit card. Now, some people don't agree with credit cards, and that's okay. But if you do and you want to build your credit score using credit cards being one of the easiest ways as a young person to access and to have a credit score, here are 10 ways that I think would really be helpful in making sure that you have a good credit score, a strong credit score, so that you can take advantage of low interest rates, among other things, and being seen as a trusted borrower in the future when you really need it. So let's get straight into it. With number one being that make sure that you have a job before getting a credit card. I think that it is very important for several reasons. A credit card is not supposed to be lived on. It is money that you pay back. So having a job would make sure that you can already afford whatever you need to buy. You may not make the income that you want. It may be a smaller job right now, but it's essential to at least have a job when you get a credit card. Many would already ask you in the application about your job. Making sure that you have a means of paying it off is the main focus here. Can you pay it off? And if you don't have a means to, how do you plan on paying it off? Unless your parents are going to pay it off for you, then that's a different discussion. But if you plan on paying off your credit card, then you need a means to do so, and a job is a perfect start. Number two is to make a budget that you're already going to stick to. With what are you doing with your income? Now, I have several budgeting videos as well that you can look to, but make sure that you have a budget so you already know what you should be spending on your credit card and what it's not supposed to look like. So making sure that you have a budget, so you're sticking to that budget, and therefore you know what charges will be going on your credit card. You know that your income can pay for that credit card every single time that it is due. Number three is something that you don't have to do, but make sure that at least you're considering it, and that is paying off all your other debts first. Now, I know that's going to be very hard if you already have like student loan debts. That might be different. So all other small debts that you can pay off, make sure you do so, because a credit card should not be replacing your means of income. So you're not going to put your money towards that debt and then have the credit card just be on its own and using it. So making sure that you don't really have a ton of debt when you get a credit card, because you don't want it to get to a situation where you have credit card with charges on it and then you still have to pay for this debt. It might just be too much for you as a young person, and that's why you also need to make your budget, because if you're able to make your budget and know where the funds are going, it makes it easier. But as a young person, I think already having debt and getting a credit card might be a slippery slope. Now, once you have all that done, let's go into number four, which is to apply for a secured card. One way to make sure that you're not going to get rejected when you apply for a credit card is to apply for a secured card. So what is a secured card? A secured card is a credit card that has a very limited budget, and it's secured in a way that is secured for the bank that is giving it to you. So you have to deposit money, and you sometimes choose that deposit, so they will have a range. You can deposit anywhere from maybe $200 to $1,000 for your secured card. And that's just to make sure that if you don't pay it off as a new borrower and person who's new to credit card, they are still guaranteed their money. So all you have to do is make sure that you determine how much money can you save. So you must be able to save money in the first place. I think my first secured card maybe had a $300 limit. So I took $300, I deposited it to my bank, the bank that I was getting the credit card from, and then I was able to have a $300 credit limit, and I spent, paid it off, spent, paid it off. Now what happens is that at the end of the term, so a lot of them have terms, whether it's a few months, a year, I think a year is about the maximum. But if that happens, then they will return your deposit in the form of a check or another way, but I think standard is a check. So they would send you back your money, whichever way they choose, and then they'll give you a real credit card. They'll upgrade you to a real credit card where you will have a high credit limit. So after I went from $300 to somewhere just under $2,000, and that's the way they're testing you. So they're not going to give you a $10,000 credit limit right away. But the good thing is that they will expand your credit limits and see how you're using it, and to make sure that you are paying it off and you're still being responsible. So apply for a secured credit card, deposit the money, and then use it accordingly. Show that you were responsible, and at the end of the term, they will upgrade you to a real credit card. 6 is that you need to be responsible. So I've already talked about several ways to be responsible, even with a secured credit card. But being responsible that even when you get an upgrade to a real credit card, you are still paying it off in full every single month. You don't want to be missing your bill due date. You don't want to be the person to be trying to go over your credit limit. You don't want to be the type of person who just has so many charges that you don't even know what it is for. Still use your budget. Still stick to a way of knowing what is going on to your credit card charges, because you don't want to get into credit card debt. Believe me, it is not something you want to play with. And also the responsibility is making sure that you keep track of your credit card. Credit card fraud is a real thing. I've been a victim of it as well. And I had my physical card with me. But if you're a person who loses your credit card and then something happens to it, what could possibly happen is that your credit score would really go down. For a while, it might bounce back. It might go down about 10 points. So depending on what it is at the moment or what it is at the time it happens, it might be more serious than not. But you want to make sure that you still have your credit card in your possession. You don't lose it. You're not being reckless with it and always lose your credit cards and having to get a new one, because that would lower your credit score. So be responsible with your cards. Number 7 is that they should be used as a debit card, making sure that every penny that you spend is something that you can pay for right away, and not using it as a way to afford things that you otherwise won't be able to afford. So use it as a debit card. It's simple. Nobody has ever gone wrong just using it as a debit card and only buying what they can afford to pay for immediately. Number 8, I've spoken a little bit about this already, but don't carry a balance. Don't carry a balance, because it's just going to have an enormous interest rate. A lot of credit cards have huge interest rates, like a big percentage. So you don't want to accumulate credit card debt, because it is really hard to get rid of once you get in. So already making sure that you are using it as like a debit card, then you won't fall into not being able to pay off the rest of your balance. But do not carry a balance. You don't want to be charged for late fees. You don't want to be charged for interest. You don't want to be just paying the minimum, because the minimum is never going to pay off the entire thing. Always pay the maximum. Pay everything. Don't take your balance to the next month. And also, it is a way to make sure that you're growing your credit score, because if you pay in full every single month, your credit usage will be very low, which means that you'll be seen as favorable because you're not carrying a huge balance. So making sure that if you want to grow your credit score, if you want to remain consistent, always pay in full and never carry a balance. As a young person, there are also ways to build your credit score. It could be getting an apartment to rent, but this is really much harder than getting a secure card, in my opinion, because when I was renting my apartment, I was a first-time renter. They checked my credit score. So had I not had the credit score, this would not have been something that would help my credit score. But instead, I had to have a credit score to rent this apartment. I had to show different things, and one of it was a credit score. So even though there are some apartments that don't require a credit score, a lot of people would ask for somebody to guarantee, somebody with a full-time job and a credit score to guarantee your rent. And if you're trying to be independent and on your own, that may not be something that you see as favorable for you. A secure credit card is much easier, but an apartment might do it and benefit your credit score, but not always. But it's a way to do it. Another way is to also get a phone plan. Like anything that you pay on a monthly basis might be able to help your credit score. So getting a phone plan is something easier, much cheaper than renting an apartment. So it's also more accessible to a lot of young people if you're paying for your own phone bill. And the last but not least way is also getting insurance on different things. Maybe car insurance is a way to build your credit score. I will caution you on using other types of debt to increase credit score, like getting student loan debt, personal debt, all those things. Student loan debt is probably much easier for students, but I will caution you against it because it's not good debt. If you don't need it, don't take it out. But finding different ways to really improve your credit score, without a credit card is also a thing, and there's a lot of research that you can do if you don't want to go the credit card route. And number 10, to really increase your credit score, is to understand, even as a young person in your very young age, that no money is free. If you're borrowing the money, if there's an institution giving you the money, they expect you to pay back. And if you don't pay it back and pay it back in a timely manner, you also have to pay interest on it. I think a lot of people can avoid so many things that go wrong in your lives, at least financially, if you understand that there's no such thing as free money in this world for 99% of the time. So even if you get a personal loan, student loans, credit cards, whatever type of loan you're getting, it's not free money. They expect you to pay back. I hear a lot of students say that they didn't know what student loans were and they just got into all these debts. A lot of people were taking out more student loans than they needed, and now it is affecting them. Don't do the exact same thing with credit cards. Understand at this age that it is not free money. And once you're able to get that, you would realize that it is a tool that you can use to build your credit score, and a good credit score can give you access to a lot of things. And so making sure that you understand that is very important. And with that, I am bringing this video to an end. I hope it was helpful. As a young person, I just wish I knew this when I first got a credit card. I mean, I already was able to navigate it, but it wasn't very smooth sailing for me, but I was able to do it. And today I have a pretty good credit score. I've never been in debt before, and I'm really going on the route of ensuring that I continue to build a good credit score that would allow me to have things easier and lower interest rates in the future. But let me know, do you like any of these tips? Which ones are you going to implement? And remember to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out my channel. And be sure to ring the notification bell because I post 2 videos a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. Come over and see what we're discussing because it's gonna be good. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!